Wait for it.
Take me back to things as normal. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Working every day of your life. Monday, Tuesday,
Shit.
It is.
It's the shit.
Chill music.
This is what y'all on today, man. How y'all doing?
We're still outside, so we're still booty hole browning for another month.
I'm not doing none of that. Pause and all that shit. I'm not doing none of that. I don't want to be a hater though, yo. You know, like I pause that really abruptly, cause like you know, all right. I'm trying to be
Go ahead.
a more.
Go ahead.
I understand the reason for the booty hole brownness. You know what I'm saying? I understand its place. That shit was fun, bro. I feel like, you know, that shit make you want to be outside. You want to barbecue some shit. You want to like, you know, that shit feel like when, you know, you want to like drive, like, you know, you got all these photography creators and they be doing real aesthetically pleasing shit. They be driving through the woods on a Saturday evening and it's a nice little, see the sun coming through the trees. That's what that song sound like.
If you could break down songs into an outfit,
That shit almost
what would
makes
that look like?
that shit almost makes you want to have like, not like like if you like go get a hippie outfit from the store, but it makes you want to have like something loose, something free. You want to have a little you know what that song kind of sounds like? It kind of sounds like, cause y'all be posting all these like, and I'm not saying like love is not, don't have to look away, but like you almost want to just be like dancing around in the kitchen in your underoos. Not the sexy shit. Like you just had like a fun evening. Y'all ain't got shit to do. It's big t-shirt. You got on some fucking drawers with a hole in the left ass cheek. Y'all eating leftovers. Like it just sounds like a good time. If you're outside though, I feel like you need like something like you know, you need like something that almost gives you like what was like like if there was relaxed outfit wear that felt 70s ish, like something in that ballpark.
I would say like a button-up shirt that's unbuttoned with a wife beater under.
Yes, that shit.
It could be like a bowling shirt or something along those lines. Some nice light slacks, and some regular Converses or something.
Yes, that's the fit. Actually, I feel like that's the perfect fit. It's like comfortable, feel a little groovy.
Just, you know.
Yeah. Yes.
I can do this and chill. My belt is going to actually be at my waist, and my shirt's going to be tucked in. I'm going to flood a little bit.
Yes. But yes. That's the aesthetic. You know what? I don't really got nothing to add to that. That's that. That's a good sound. I'm because I want y'all to get better, man. Unknown Mortal Orchestra. Unknown Mortal Orchestra. It's a new album. It's V. Do that. That's where the song is at. Feel good. You know what I'm saying? Like just, you know, I'm not opposed to the bullshit. Okay. What's her name? Coco just won the fucking thing, and everything in me said, Boosie, man. Bankroll after bankroll, big money. I like it. All right. I'm just saying I want everybody to expand. I ain't saying there's not a place for the booty hole brownness and the bullshit, but you know, I don't want to hear that shit all the time.
What is the place for the booty hole brownness?
I'm not gonna lie, man. If you not to say that I wouldn't be outside listening to what we just listened to, but you know, there's a certain type of outside where I'm not gonna lie, I just don't like that song. But okay, I'm not like I'm not gonna lie. There's never a time where you're gonna have me request "Sexy Red." At least not now. She hasn't played. It hasn't been nothing that I want to hear. But for the stuff that like, you know, in that genre of get you going, there's some spaces for that still.
What about, so like I can think of saying there's a time and place for everything, right? There's a certain environment for certain songs.
Mm-hmm.
So certain environments would be right for that song, but you couldn't take it into other environments and it'd be acceptable, correct?
Yeah.
But is it ways that you can take the opposite? So take the song you just played into a super ratchet environment and it still be welcomed?
I think so.
Okay.
But this is also me just kind of giving big props to black folk because it get groovy in it. Like there's like, you know, I didn't play the whole song, but like when that beat changed, like it gets groovy and niggas like doing it. Like unless you just are really dedicated to like, I want to hear this fucking song. You know, if I'm just, you know, unless you just want to hear Trill Fam, like, and you just want to fucking knock it all down. But if you're just trying to have a good time, the DJ can kind of do it. You know, y'all got some fucking eclectic motherfuckers. They'll putting all type of shit together. You know, they'll taking fucking Shirley Caesar and Trick Daddy and just slamming them together every other weekend. So you know, you could niggas are diverse. Hey, if you make that work.
Hey,
I just want to drop on it. If that somehow makes sense, if there's a song where those two motherfuckers make sense, I don't know how I could become a drop. Boy, I'm gonna play that shit every fucking day. They'll out here they'll out here smash them. That's it right there. Because he just dirty ass nigga, man.
I mean, it's a talent skill to be able to blend multiple identities in a situation. Ain't nothing wrong with that. That's all you're doing when you're doing the mashups for real. Or you just creating content, sampling one thing. Like you can sample Otis Redding for a ratchet thuggy song.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot. And I'm just I'm content on the fact that I'm a fan. I love music, but like, cause some niggas be doing shit that I just would never have thought of, and they be working good. You niggas is creative motherfuckers, man. I don't know if there's a lane to make that super profitable, because I'll be finding all this shit on the free stuff. Like you find it on YouTube, and I know like shit with music, like, you know, who owns this and shit like that. I feel like that's probably why they can't make like real money off of it, because you know, like this is my voice, motherfucker. I don't give a fuck how you mix this shit. I don't want. You got to pay me 100% of the fucking publishing or whatever.
And there's so many loopholes with shit like that, to where somebody could use your shit and not have to really pay you like that, especially today.
Yeah, music is crazy. Music
is an interesting game.
I support y'all and I want y'all to win, but I definitely do not envy none of my music niggas, because
you gotta have the right people in your corner just to know that you ain't fucking nothing up.
That shit crazy.
Setting yourself up for the long game. But like, damn, I gotta pay all this money back for somebody 6 years ago.
Yeah, that shit nuts. I mean, you know, I guess, you know, you keep doing your shit, you be fine. But it'd be like them niggas. Like that was some shit that I saw earlier this week when they talked about, like, I didn't do no research on it, so like this is like a really cool, but Diddy giving back people's like masters and like publishing and shit. And I thought that was a dope move. People in the comments was making some shit talking about, like, you know, it's been 30 years and I don't know, that you know, you might have a point. I didn't do enough research, but if that interests you, you know, research it. I just didn't do it this week. And then there was somebody who came, I think it was like Mark Curry, and it was like, it don't fucking matter. That shit like $400. And I was like, but also at the same time, like, I'm not checking for Mark Curry. Like, I respect you, but that was just not the right person. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying what he's saying no makes sense, but also it's like, my nigga, like, I'm not checking for that shit.
I think that's kind of the point. Like it's past its time, past its prime. You giving it back to me, but like, what can I really do with it now at this point? Granted, you could try and flip it, because a lot of the kids want to. I can't even say nostalgia, because they ain't really grow up with it. A lot of them just vintage. It's vintage for them to latch on to old school shit. So you could try and make a comeback, or some sort of TikTok challenge or something to where that's beneficial for you. But the majority of it is the shit's dead. What can I really do with it? With the exception of Mace.
Yeah.
Certain like one or two songs that still get played because of black culture, black culturally. And, you know, we still gonna play it in the clubs, but that's only gonna do so much for people's streams and their pockets. Especially like Diddy didn't held on to shit long enough for niggas to die and ain't being able to capitalize on their own shit.
Yeah, Diddy got that shit. It's like, oh, you know, I mean, I guess that kind of did make sense, because when I thought about it, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but like if it's like, yeah, I've fucking like it's dope. It sounds good, you know, it's a good gesture, and hopefully, you know, it sets a tone for people to take suit. But also, it's like, boy, you done milk this shit for all the fuck. I don't get no motherfucking money off this shit no more. Like,
what song I made in '94? Well, album I made in '94. Yeah, people may still listen to it. It's got something nostalgic to it, but you made all the money when it was at its height.
Yeah.
I didn't raise 3 kids since then. Broke.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
But I'll shoot Diddy some bail and some credit. I feel like him doing like the Bad Boy tour years ago and all that other stuff was his attempt to try and make things right-ish.
that makes sense.
And he's just been trying to make it righter over the years.
See, I think that's cool too. Like I think I guess sometimes I feel like their space has to be held for that. Like, granted, if we're running with like the deep dark secrets of Diddy and all that other shit.
Surviving Bad Boy.
Yeah, like if Diddy has gone through whatever he's gone through in his life and is making a turn, like I don't feel like sometimes, I ain't saying you got to be like everybody best friend, but if motherfuckers is making like real turns in life, like maybe you don't cut them down as they would ever. Like I'm personally a fan, I know we have all watched Diddy. I mean, not Diddy. We've all watched 50 do a lot of 50's been a villain. 50 has burnt the world down. But I'm a big, in certain scenarios. But I'm a fan of fucking 50 getting on these podcasts and giving me some shit that makes some sense. Like, it's like, oh, hey, man, this nigga really like, hey, all right.
This is different sides we don't see to him. Like, not just 50, but people in general. Like, we only see the side that they want us to see or the side that's tailored for us to see. People been saying 50 was a genius for a long-ass time, but now people are really starting to understand how brilliant he is because we're allowing ourselves to see him outside of 50 Cent, the rapper.
Yeah, I think that's a two-way thing. Like, prior to the internet or whatever, like, the same way we hear, like, it's motherfuckers who we thought were amazing that you find out are villains. I'm like, on the flip side, like, some of these motherfuckers we might have thought was villains, like, they just were like, somebody was able to get to the fucking, get to the media beforehand. But like now, you realize motherfucker might not have been a dickhead. Like it might have been wrong.
That makes me think of what that boy name is. The white boy from that 70s show.
Ooh, shit.
And all that's going on with him.
Ooh. Going to jail. you going.
I mean, 2 out of 3 guilty. You definitely about to go sit down somewhere.
You going to the sex offender wing.
Well, we'll see how that turns out. He might go to the celebrity sex offender wing, so he might not get touched on.
Is he that big a celebrity like that? Is he big enough to not just go to?
I don't know. It depends on, because I don't know what he's done behind the scenes. Because he could have done that 70 show and not really done much else other than that. Or he could have been doing stuff behind the scenes, directing, producing, writing, and all that other stuff. So, he got a little change in his pocket. We could look at Ashton Kutcher and say he's the bigger name out of everybody, but that doesn't mean that he's the only one that's been doing work. So it could be different.
Yeah, that was maybe you just get rapey when you're unsuccessful because he did well. Wilmer had a good run. The other son who was like the son of the fucking the mom and the dad or whatever, he had a pretty decent career. Mm-hmm. He was in that Spider-Man that we forget about. But he did some other shit. But yeah, that's the one nigga.
He was Venom.
He was. He wasn't my Venom, but he was a Venom. I'm not gonna hold you. But I'm staying firm on. I try not to. I don't really try to hate on like actors because I'm not finna turn down a job. I'm not finna turn down an $8-10 million job that could change my motherfucking career. Mm-hmm. And especially if you maybe not be a comic nigga and you niggas decide to take your own fucking liberties with it. Because you start listening and be like, man, I had already signed the contract, and I realized these niggas did some script fucking changes. I can't quit. I did my best, but this was a dumb move. Be like, all right, man, I fuck with you. Don't kill this motherfucker. That's the crazy thing. They be killing that nigga career, and the writer. Well, I ain't trying to shit on the writers because writer strike. I stand with y'all. My bad. Anyways, yeah, it just don't be the actor's fault.
I mean, you can scrutinize the writers a little bit. Granted, they going through their negotiations and all that, but some of them write and tailor things a certain way because of the pressure that they get from higher ups, and they just.
There we go. It's the fucking execs.
They don't have the gall to be like, you know what, I'm not going to write on this show because I don't agree with what you're saying. Some are just like, fuck it, I'm going to write it because it's going to make money and I'm going to go with the story because it's going to put some levity in my pockets.
There we go. Full circle. Swing back around. It's the execs. What the fuck y'all be doing? You're going to be a fucking gajillionaire already.
Right. You already are.
Yeah, that should be blowing my mind when they be like, they're gonna, the money and I'm like, but y'all are super rich. Like,
that makes me think of this shit. I think I shared it with you, but I know I was talking to Leilani about it because she's a super Disney person. but like how Disney changes up the titles of their shows that they reboot every 3 years, so they don't have to pay people like fair wages.
That's fucking nasty.
So it's like if we
That's
technically it's
nasty shit.
considered. One person was explaining it because he used to work for Disney, so he's like, technically, if you whatever, I don't know what the shows were, Zach and Cody or some shit, but you have Zach and Cody for 3 seasons, and then you have it off the air for a year or two, or even if you just keep it on air. But now we have Zach and Cody do college. Like, that's the new title. That's considered a new show. So I don't have to renegotiate a new contract for you. You just, you can still get the entry level pay that we're paying you, and you don't end up getting more because of it. So it's like they find out ways, the execs and lawyers find out ways to be savvy enough to not have to pay you more, even though they're continuously giving you work.
All of this shit is nasty work, and like I be trying to have a real levity feel, sprinkle in some shit pod. But between what you just said, and I've been lazy on this little book read, but I've been trying to get back to it. But I've been reading this book called The Divide, and it's just this deep dive on like capitalism and how it's just affected the world. And y'all is some fucking I ain't saying you have to read, but if you just
You got a little time on your hands.
you want to be you be educated. Pissed the fuck off, man. It just ain't nowhere. It's capitalism bad, but it just ain't nowhere that but they done fucked up the world. Like it's such a crazy thing to say. Like, I just wanted to look at this entire beautiful planet. I'ma fuck it in every hole.
I'ma flip it all the way
Why
upside
did you
down.
do that? It was so much shit that was just fine, and them niggas said. And when you listen to the motherfuckers, like when they do the breakdowns and logic, and it's like, like I just finished the chapter and they just went deep into France. Giggity. Fucking France. You be sitting there and be like, damn, nigga. Like,
France is nasty work.
yeah, it just make you sometimes you look like you be looking on the news and, you ignorantly and privilege wise, you sitting over here in America and be like, how could they just do that? And it's like, boy, the shit these motherfuckers done did, just, and us, just like, oh, there's a leader over there that has the potential to kill that motherfucker immediately. Kill him, put this person in there, and we just know this shit, and like nobody gets in trouble for it. Like, we all know this shit and know it happened, and everybody be like, we was going through some things. Anyways, how about Dancing with the Stars?
How about doing it again, but just renaming it? But that made me think, between that case and the Disney thing, it just kind of, granted, even music with Diddy in that situation, that made me think of, in entertainment, what is going on in the entertainment space that makes people's mental health go to a state of either like supreme greed or diving into some unhealthy coping skills or
I think it's
sexual deviancy?
I think it's different for everybody. Like, if you're like somebody, like I would say, like, the usual black story, whether you're an athlete, whether you're an actor, whether you're a fucking, music artist, you come from lack. That's most of everybody's story. Like, you come from a certain type of lack, and you get into these spaces and you're so focused on, making your art, making your craft. You don't know the business stuff. So you're doing all, and then, everybody acts like the shit moves like fast. Like, when you strike fire, you're trying to catch it. So you're doing all the shows, burning both ends of the candle. So just from a physical perspective, I'm fucking tired. From a creative perspective, I'm fucking tired. And you're learning the business and learning that, like, you fucked your life up 6 months ago and you've been living this fucking dream. And then on top of that, just like motherfuckers introducing you to shit, especially if you're like young. Like, you think now, like, as niggas in their mid-30s, like, I think about how much, and I feel like I'm pretty green now, but you realize you were super green at like 20-something. You thought you knew some shit, you knew fucking nothing. Even if you come from the most extreme backgrounds, like, you don't know, like, that corporate type dirt weird shit that they do in Hollywood. Like, it was a thing that went viral this week where it was like Bun B talking about, like, you get to a certain level of fame, and say, like, fame is like a house. That was like the analogy used. And like, you walk in this house, you're invited to the party, and then you start opening up doors to these rooms, and you realize, like, in these rooms is like, vices or something like that. And it's like, the people that are doing these vices are also the people that have the keys to whatever you're trying to do. So you have to wrestle with, do I change my entire life and the lives of those that I care about? But I'm also having to kind of engage in this, like, you know, this basically deals with the devil. Like, I get all this benefit, but I also have to dance in these weird spaces with shit I'm uncomfortable with. And once you kind of dancing in them spaces, depending on how fucking weird the space is, it ain't like you can say nothing about it because now you're going to get burnt with them. It's a lot of fucked up shit, yo. Like, you know, it's people who've made it, but I get that it's a fucking... Oof. And then on the flip side, if you're born into it, you know, shout out to Zoe Williams and, you know, Christian Murphy. It is no, what is it? It is no, to be adapted to a sick society. Like, if you're born into it, you think the shit's normal. And so you fucked up off top unless you just had like one of these really dope celebrity parents, which clearly is a rarity.
I mean, a lot of people end up like Shia in some capacity.
Man.
Being a child actor in the space for so long, especially working for a really wonderful company like Disney.
And your daddy, you know, that's also parents trying to like live their dreams through. It's a whole lot of shit.
It could be a lot, but something like that, something that's supposed to be simple for us as entertainment, wrapped into all these other layers, ends up being some shit that can kill you. It's like a regular burger is cool. It ain't the greatest for you, but it ain't terrible. You got some lettuce and tomato and all that. But you wrap that bitch with 3 other patties, some bacon, and 2 honey buns, deep fried, and then slathered with gravy. It's a novelty item. It's something you can indulge in, but it ain't gonna do you no justice.
What was that shit from Boondocks? It was a donut.
The Luther burger.
That shit. That motherfucker. That shit was so brilliant.
Have you had one in real life?
Nah. I know I've seen somebody like
There's a lot of people that have done it, but
yeah, I'm good on that.
I haven't said I haven't wanted to. I'll take that.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it, but it just be some shit that I just like.
It's like hot Cheetos and Takis on everything today. Some stuff ain't necessary, but
salute to the kids, man, because the kids used to love doing that shit, and they let me know this was not for me. That they guts and bodies was on some other shit.
If the young guts is fucking up from having it, what's it gonna do to my old guts?
Nah, because it's like every day y'all eating this and like eating it and then mixing it and pouring a little spicy shit in there. And then I'm like, I'm seeing you go to the bathroom, boy. Like, I remember one time I was trying to be, you know, Captain Cool staff and had me a couple, and this shit immediately said, yep. That shit took about 10 minutes. My shit said, oh, you fucking crazy today, huh? You acting up. Stomach said, oh, you acting unusual, my boy.
You thought you was free?
Bows, what you up to? You want to turn up? Because we finna fucking do it up in the that's crazy.
But I can't entirely get on kids because adults do it, but they do it with liquor. Because people be off that sauce and they be.
Oh yeah. I'm not saying I'm just, you know, word to the sauce, you know, depending on the situation. But I definitely I don't have it. And I'm okay with that. I realize I don't have none of, and it's specific. I know like what I can and can't. And I have to at this point. I need that's another reason. Like, cause I have to drink some shit that's like of a certain ain't none of that. And I'm like, when niggas be saying like Casamigos and shit, I can't touch that shit. I have a fucking headache for 3 weeks. Give me that shit that like, what the fuck? I ain't never had that. Hey, look, I follow the liquor people who like her. I'm a connoisseur and I'm a bar like that give you the tips and it's like, oh, that shit $80. Well, I guess I won't be drinking until a big event because I need that. I need that so I can have my body can fucking function afterwards. Yeah. I want this $40 bottle. My motherfucking chest will cave in. I'm soft now.
Y'all be drinking because shit is popular and drinking to get drunk. I don't drink. I'll have a shot of anything once, just because everybody get one shot. If we celebrating something, I'll give you one shot. I ain't gotta have no more for the rest of the evening. I'm cool. I am completely fine with water, iced or not. But if y'all gonna just be drinking whatever, you do that for your body. I can't.
And I gotta prep. I gotta eat carbs and shit early in the day and leave my stomach coated. I gotta do a lot of
avoid
shit.
hunger that you're gonna have later on, because the liquor, if you have enough of it, it's gonna tell you that you want to eat some bullshit.
Yeah, you know, I gotta drink water throughout the day, so I'm hydrated for the dehydration I'm finna put my body in. I need water available afterwards so I can try to shake. It's a lot. It's a journey.
I don't know how I feel about all these white men tossing around this little black boy.
It's a lot going on. It's always a lot going on with this show. Every week I say I'm gonna watch it. I haven't. I have some other things that I've already, wrapped up in and getting caught up on, but it's already something that I know is interesting, and I've seen people talk about it, but it's a lot going on. It's a little much, and they do too much killing on this show to be at the. Well, it's anime. I take that back, because it'd be somebody fucking. He had a motherfucking M16 in his hand. He 13, and they was just at the beach swimming. I know you've heard us for at least 4 weeks talk Jormungand.
He is a traumatized child, but he's utilizing his inner child there at the beach, letting people swing him around and throw him like he would when he was a little kid.
He was there, wasn't he? He's a black man. They was black together. He's new. Right?
Oh yeah, he's relatively new.
It's a big motherfucker too.
We are always portrayed as
That's fucking just not
monstrous.
I had one of my like little, I didn't feel like starting nothing new and I was bored. I started rewatching Fire Force. And yeah, man, like I know we focus on old boy with the feats, but like I was like, this nigga Ogun's still kind of that nigga, boy. Y'all not convincing me he's not one of them. I know we have the show protagonists and shit, and him and what's that nigga name? Chiron, like he was beating the shit out of people. They the niggas, boy. I'm not opposed. And I seen some of y'all. I ain't seen a lot of y'all, but I heard a couple things about, I ain't gonna give y'all too much light, but some of y'all been getting weird with the fucking One Piece show. Like it was happiness. We done well. And y'all niggas be crawling out y'all caves.
They doing the extra deep dives.
Yeah, it's such a job to be that racist. And that's all I'm gonna say on that. They black now. The dude who made the shit, y'all gonna go back and forth with the nigga who made the stuff? Fuck out of here. That's all I'm gonna say about y'all. Do better. I ain't got no time to give y'all that much energy, but just
why we can't be great.
I mean, we are the niggas on the show. Like the show is successful. It's the only anime show that seems to have like quote unquote broke the curse. It did well. So, at this point, stay mad. Y'all know my policy. I ain't got no time to be going back and forth. I don't want to fix shit. I don't want to be friends. I don't want to convince nobody. How you feel, keep it that way and be lied about it. So I know to put you right the fuck on. As long as you stay on your side of the fence, I don't know, man, I ain't gonna say go back. I'm just saying, like, if you want to be dumb, you could just stay over there. That's all I'm saying. If you think it was cool, then you just go ahead and segregate yourself. That's all. I'm trying to figure out how to segue into the popular topic of the week so I can get it out of my fucking system.
I mean, that could have been a segue right there.
That's it. All right, man. So, lady got hit in the face with a brick.
Did she?
Well, now I don't know, man. Everybody has these fucking deep dives, and every conversation, there be like, I see everybody saying things that's almost good. I see people saying things that are completely fucking degenerate behavior, and then I see everybody, just kind of in the middle. So,
I see a predominant amount of people on both sides just looking for a reason to continue to spew their bias.
Well, that's a lot of it. Cause like, okay, man, like if you've been under a rock, and if you are, please tell me where it's at so I can get up under that motherfucker with you.
Under a brick.
Under a brick, yes. Under the brick is where I want to be. Like. Yep. So I guess it's got to be 2 weeks at this point.
I believe so.
So 2 weeks ago, we're was trying to let this see if it needed to develop, but everybody should talk about it. So 2 weeks ago, there was I guess she's a creator. I don't know her name, but
everybody's a fucking creator.
Yeah, pretty much, man. She went viral. She had and she was in the hospital, and it was a big. Everything on this side was swole up, like it was just out to here. I'm trying not to make this funny. It was legitimately like a concerning amount of just growth on this side of her head, and she was. Basically, it stated that she was out. A man asked for her number. She didn't give it, and he picked up a brick and said, bottom of the ninth, Kyle. Like he was yanking that and hit her in the face with a brick. And
you saying he turned into the big unit?
Shit, yeah. That boy said, like, you remember that movie?
Friday.
Oh no. Fuck Friday. The way that he was. What was it? Is it Big Major? Where the kid the kid had the tricky shoulder and he was in the fucking
Big Little League or something
that
like that.
yeah, that shit. And that shit used to hear it go yeah. Anyways, so he hit her in the face with a brick. It goes viral. She's online and it just the gender wars intensified just 10,000 folds.
Saw it on it.
So for me, there's a couple things, like, as the weeks had gone. Initially, I just feel like everybody should kind of shut the fuck up because we don't know. All I know is there's a woman sitting in the hospital, big fucking one large knot on the side of her entire head, and she's crying. I don't know what I ever did to deserve this. Immediately, the internet fucking detectives got on the case, and she slapped somebody here. She did this. There was a clip going around of her slapping a dude and twerking or whatever. I don't know if that was a dude who did it. And immediately there was conversations around, I guess there were people around when she got hit with a brick. And it was like, black men don't protect black women. That jumped out of it immediately. So first things first, I can't think of a scenario where it would make any fucking sense to pick up a brick and yank that unless your fucking life is in jeopardy. Even man to man, that is assault with a deadly fucking weapon. In my mind, you trying to kill this motherfucker. So the videos and things I saw where niggas are taking the stance that they're believing this. Like, it's not like they're taking the stance that this didn't happen or that we might have been whatever. It's niggas taking the stance that she's a troublesome person. There's not enough trouble in the world where I'm gonna try to defend a nigga hitting her with a brick. Now, if you're an asshole and somebody checks you, if it was a video of a nigga, getting his shit off verbally, cool. If I'm rocking with the scenario where that she's like a mean person and she's an asshole or blah blah, cool. But the idea that niggas was getting real, like they thought they was in their bag. These niggas had the green screen behind them, and I saw a nigga with glasses on and he was like, he didn't even say nothing the whole video. He just like, you see clips of her and then you see her in the hospital. And it's just like, I understand the idea that, like, shouldn't have been talking shit is a thing, but we not going to act like hitting a motherfucker with a brick. Or even if a nigga had balled up his fist and like clean clocked her shit, like none of that shit is okay. Like and there's so many ways you could have just said anything else other than try to defend that part. Like that shit is fucking crazy to me. Conversely, everybody doing they fucking deep dives about whether it may or may not shit. What was it, something today? Like it might have been a fucking bee sting?
No,
or some shit.
An allergic reaction. So basically, with the medical reports, they were in alignment with something that was to the fact of an allergic reaction, not her getting hit. The owner of the whatever business she was close to looked at the footage and said there's literally no evidence of her being hit by anybody. It just, they're saying the more evidence is coming out right now, it looks like she fabricated the whole thing for more attention.
Well, if that comes out, that's fucking nuts. I mean,
But that's like the shit that I shared with you the other day about Blueface and the gay dude lying about all that stuff.
That shit was nuts.
And then, granted, he came out later and admitted it, but he still admitted it but it was entertaining, right? So it's nothing wrong with that.
See, there was another thing on the cover. Okay, but with this part, I go back and forth with, like, one, I feel like if y'all lie like that, like, you could get a foot in the ass. Like, y'all don't feel like you should maybe be sent to the emergency room, but you could get little lumpity lumps because that shit's dumb. But on the flip side, when you are somebody who's like, some of these, and I don't know these people, but just how they're perceived with the blue facedness and all, like it puts, there's entertainers who are like, oh, this person is entertaining. It's podcast niggas, whatever, and you can tell these motherfuckers are like, this is entertaining in this space, but do not come to this person and like treat their life like it's whatever. Some of these motherfuckers, and I'm not saying it makes it right or wrong, but it does put you in a position where it makes your life entertainment, especially if you are, some of the shit Blueface be posting is not a lot of the shit Blueface be posting is a lot of like, hey man, this is fucking nuts. So it just makes it look like, oh yeah, chaos is your brand. Like chaos is just what the fuck you own. So any chaos is good chaos. And it would make a goofy, like, I think both things would be true. Like, dude is a fucking goofball. But also, it's not like I'm, like, principle-wise, what he did was bullshit to Blueface. But also, it's not like I'm, like, weeping for Blueface's fucking brand or no shit like that. Dude is wrong. And also, I think there's a bit of, like, when your brand is just chaotic nonsense, like, you know, Blueface could have just kept giving us music, and he just turned into, like, a, you know,
Schmutt peddler.
yeah, it just, I don't really know what he does now except just kind of stuff, and we just watch his stuff.
I mean, he still performs, but managing other artists and I forgot what the girls thing is, but the Bad
Niggas
Girls
always-
Blueface house that he has.
Managing artists, they don't drop no motherfucking music. I don't know, but
Because it ain't no money being made and dropping the music for real.
Yeah, it's the music on the way. It's money in music being on the way. That shit will never get here, but it's on the way. Should take it to Pony Express.
Well, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. In my opinion, I feel like there's not a lot of money to be made in music to a certain degree because your talent ain't.
Oh yeah,
You got to be popular in order to make a lot of money today. It ain't even that you got to be good, but if you ain't really popular and your music ain't good, you gonna have to work 3 times as hard just to keep your lifestyle up.
you could always live, in your means. Word to Vince Staples, but that's anyways. Another conversation. That was my thing. Another conversation that came up from that fucking brick fiasco, brick by brick, is this conversation of and I hate this because it, like, to me it be convoluted
so many
shit.
brick things going through the mind.
Dead ass, man. Like,
Bricks. Wow.
man, I wanted to make a fucking video,
tan.
but man, everybody, it was so serious, and I was like, all right, man, I won't make this video. Her fucking head blow up or something. She get a goddamn brain hemorrhage, and
Let's find more information first. When we find out she's lying, now the memes can be created.
Hey, yo, I'm not gonna hold you. It's up, all right. I don't give a fuck how old. If she's lying, and I don't mean like didn't get hit with a brick but got hit. Like if it's a flat out, hey, this didn't. Nigga, listen. These are equal opportunity jokes for everybody. We don't discriminate and make fun of a lot of people. Anyways, it was a conversation about like black men protect black women, and in that scenario, yeah, you should have stomped this nigga's ass. Like you should have stomped. Like word to Charlie Murphy. I'm gonna flip your chin. I'm gonna stomp your mouth. That's the only thing moving. I'm gonna stomp your mouth. Like yeah, you should have beat that nigga to fucking death. Like, but the other side of that conversation is valid. Now the niggas who are having the conversation, this is why I don't like everybody. Everybody is not the motherfucking spokesperson for me, okay? Because y'all be everybody be using the fucking and they're a make funnable person, like not to pour it on, but everybody make fun of these. They use the very fresh and fit approach. Like you get dummies in your space to confirm the dumb shit, and I don't like that shit. But yeah, it's just the fact that like obviously, if a nigga throws a brick, like nigga should have whatever and like kicked his ass. But like there is a valid conversation of like, bitch, they'll kill me in this motherfucker. Like where you might get like shut up, bitch, like and then this nigga got it on him. Like it's just sometimes, and I'm not saying that, and I don't understand. I'm not saying that I would ever just let somebody, because I know niggas, and I've been a part of. I'm a peaceful guy. Peaceful resolutions to motherfuckers who are been kind of maybe like going above and beyond, but their feelings were valid, maybe not their reactions. And there is a conversation to be had about like there are some things where women are saying, like there are videos that go up where women are just like like no thank you. I saw one a couple weeks ago and the nigga's like, okay, well fuck you then, bitch, this is why. That nigga's a loser. But there's also this lady went above and beyond with how she's talking to this motherfucker. And like, not to say it should result in hands, but you are creating a space of unnecessary conflict unless this motherfucker is doing some shit that requires that you check them like that. Like the whole just protect off the fact of if you were wrong is a little dangerous. Yeah. Like that definitely don't let no harm befall you, but like y'all don't protect.
I feel like protection has been romanticized. And the word has been bastardized. So we have these lofty, grandiose expectations of protection because we end up highlighting such toxic narratives, right? So protect could be, I like you like dating the thug niggas or the street dudes because they gonna protect you, and it's just because he got guns and shit in the house. But okay, he sells drugs or he done shot some people, so I know he's gonna protect me because he loved me and all this other stuff. But then you deal with all the other bullshit that comes with being with said person. So he'll protect you in this manner, and you feel like you're protected because of that action or behavior that he has, but that's also a detriment to you. Saying that to say, that made me think about environment. I know I got a little bit of bias in this type of conversation because I ain't around no dudes that act like that.
That's true.
I hear the stories, but I don't never see it even in public because I'm not in spaces where shit like that is normal behavior. Well, I'll occasionally see, or especially when I was younger in my early mid-20s, you may see well, fuck you then, bitch, don't nobody want to talk to you anyway. Like, you'll see an occasional dude act like that, but even then, you still look, y'all look at each other and be like, this nigga tripping, it's not that serious. Mm-hmm. And you're not around that person that often. Or I've had it be teammates and we kind of check them like, hey, man, what are you doing? But like hitting people with bricks and shit, like you have to be in a certain environment for stuff like that to happen. And that just makes me think, like, did you choose to be in them environments? And that's not an easy part of the conversation that we like having. I don't know for sure where she was and all this other stuff. But some situations it's like, hey, why are you over there in the first place? Part of the protection, at least for men, is telling you, hey, what you doing over there? Yeah, it ain't no good reason for you to be over there. Stop going to them types of places because there's nothing over there for you. But if they do that, then they're policing you or they're trying to tell you what to do or this or that. And you don't want the protection that somebody may have with holding you accountable to making better choices. But then when the inevitable happens, then you're upset.
Yeah, they tried to eat old girl up for that, who made that post that went viral where she did, it was a long thing, and I know people got caught up in the line at the end where she says, like, there are gems and there are like rocks and dirt. And she was making that distinction. But initially the top part of her video was what you're kind of saying is like she adhered to the lessons of like, brothers and uncles and this and that, so that she didn't always have herself in those situations. And that is part of the conversation. Like, nobody is defending niggas doing fuck shit, and it's not some of that blame the victim type shit.
Not at all.
But it's like, you can sidestep some of these like wild ass niggas, you know what I'm saying? That's not saying like, that nobody should handle a wild ass nigga, but also there are certain areas like, I think I'm pretty sure, like I say this a lot. These are two sizable niggas sitting on this couch. There's some places that I don't go. Like how you don't see this shit often, I don't either, because I'm not really putting myself in some of those positions. Like there's some places that there's, and there are nights that I personally had done, I'm going out tonight. And that night was the night that I kind of got back in that car. I was like, whew. Yeah, when that little voice says, I should listen to that sumbitch. There was no fucking reason. And I just feel like, let's talk about that goddamn intuition, okay? Now that motherfucker apparently always be working when the fucking post be hitting on the fucking page. We gotta listen to that voice because you knew you was when that motherfucker was like, bitch, stay in the house. Or maybe we should go to dinner with Lisa tonight instead of yeah.
Or put a condom on, or
it's a number of
or you shouldn't have been talking to him in the first place, or her in the first place, or
Papa don't preach. No, let Papa preach, and then listen to that motherfucker. Right. Let him drive you to the clinic.
Preach. You ain't got to co-sign 100% of what he's saying, but let's not negate what he's sharing with us. He might be sharing some shit with us that could actually be beneficial. Let's listen to it just a little bit.
But I made up my shut that shit up. Make up a motherfucking thing in this house. Like, I'm just like, and it's not a blamey thing. It's just, all right, man, like we grown and you got to take accountability. Like, you just.
What I'll say this. What is mental health wise? What is the struggle with people's personalities to where we don't like being accountable to consequences until it goes to one extreme that we're not okay with? Like, why does it take an extreme for us to be able to pay attention to, talk about, govern, regulate, or even have an opinion that's shared about something?
I think a lot of those are, motherfuckers go to, this training, that training. Like, there's skill sets that you have to learn. And I just think sometimes, or a lot of times, it's like these are things that we just don't realize that we don't know. Like I think a lot of us don't realize that we are running off of I don't know, man. You running off of old software. Like, I got it together. I know, no, you don't. Like, we watching really old models of shit that we thought worked. Your granddaddy didn't work for real. It looked like it worked, and for that environment, it made sense. But now, if you're trying to do some different shit, what's that? Y'all be posting all the fucking quotes. If you want something different, you're gonna have to. If you want something you've never had, you're gonna have to do something you never did. Okay, motherfucker. Well, something you never did was go. Maybe I'm the fuck up, and not that dumb shit that y'all be. It was my fault for letting somebody into my space. I should. No. It was your fault. Period.
I was not in the right frame of mind. I was making unhealthy decisions, and that was the consequence to said decisions. And although I may not have liked what happened, I appreciate that it happened because it put some shit into perspective for me that I was neglecting paying attention to.
Yeah, like, you know, on some mental healthy shit, like without saying all the jargon and just breaking it down in just regular people terms. Because not gonna lie, man, you know, if and when y'all go and sit down somewhere, the person who's across from you, it's for them to write that jargon shit on, but for you, it's supposed to sound just like this. And it is literally that simple of like, I've looked at it this way, and it's like, cool, but like the answer just right over there. And you got to take some, even if, you know, be uncomfortable for 10 minutes, and then, you know, you can get mad and go cuss in your car, and then, you know, be uncomfortable for 30 minutes. If you need that type of like fucking, because that shit will eventually, and I know I took this tirade a lot. I'm not a neuro person per se. I follow, but it's a science to it. There's, you know, the synapses in your brain that determine your decisions. It take a minute. Same thing. It's the same concept about building a habit. You have to work on these things. Mm-hmm. And it's just, yeah, man, like it's so many times where motherfuckers y'all be like right at the part of like, you know, this shit got to stop. Okay, well, now we got to figure out how to stop it. This shit do got to stop.
I mean, there's some things that are so deeply ingrained in your psyche to where you may not even be 100% aware of it, but you still may be able to notice because of behaviors. Like, I may not know or remember exactly where it all comes from, but I can look at how I behave and the consequences of those behaviors and say something needs changing, and it comes from somewhere, and I don't know what it is, but it's a signal that work needs to be done, right? I'm thinking of that because, you know, I told you about the EMDR training. Like, they literally have a kind of like a way of explaining it. So it's like your brain works in this manner. Like your amygdala's in a minute. It's like
I just did a training yesterday. Yeah, did that analogy.
You flipped your lid, basically. Yeah. Like, and a lot of shit gets stored in here, and that's what EMDR helps, like, get into those parts of your amygdala or whatever that are protected or have been shielded or uncovered by a lot of shit that you may not be aware of, but it can help with resetting that within yourself. But
they use that so much.
I mean, you're gonna hear a lot of these
because they did that, but mine was for like for working with clients that have intellectual disabilities. Mm-hmm. So how easy it is or how hard it is for that thing to function because, you know, certain people, certain shit is not hitting right.
Yeah, the traumas have like you said, the terminology flipped your lid. That's kind of where it comes from. Mm-hmm. The lid that covers up or protects certain parts of your brain has been exposed, and that just makes you do some wild shit to a degree. But some of that may be unconscious. Like, you don't know that you're doing it or why you're doing it, which is why you may need to sit down and talk to somebody or find some therapeutic spaces or just do lots of introspection and, you know, holding yourself accountable. But sometimes that may require you to do the thing, like you mentioned, that you may have never done, which is say, hey, you know what, I have to take accountability for this. This is me.
I've been doing this shit my way, you know, and just, you know, shot in the dark that got us to right here.
Right.
So just, you know, just saying, you know,
maybe your way ain't always best. Maybe there's something else that you need to explore. Even if it's just you take it with a grain of salt, right? The simplest pinch of salt can change the flavor of a dish. I ain't got to have no mound of salt. I really can just take a little bit and just change that.
Salt bay that motherfucker, you know?
Just a little bit, and it can completely change what's going on. Or MSG, depending on what you want to do. And it's entirely up to you how you want to go about making your dishes. But
headshot.
Yeah, it's a lot of that going on.
Damn.
But being able to just make those minor changes can make a world of difference. But there's something about us in our society where we just don't want to do that.
Well, I think like most things, and I'm like, that is one of my biggest pet peeves, especially as somebody who, like, you know, I like this. I like this field. I like what I do. I don't like talking to y'all outside, but in my certain spaces, I like running my motherfucking mouth and then going in my little hole. Just my little like the little in the Shire. I close my big ground door and I'll see y'all when I choose to. But the way that this shit is romanticized. I guess you can blame capitalism, but like it's just romanticized everything else. Like there's an easy way to do this. Like, it's kind of the same. It reminds me of like how working out is sometimes sold. Like, you used to grow up and you watch technically we grew up in like it was like Ronnie and them still like running it and Kai and them. But like I remember watching like, Pumping Iron. The whole thing was just like lift a lot of shit and it beats you the fuck up and like then you're like, you're fucking Rambo. You might have watched Rambo. Mm-hmm. Like there's like a coolness in even though some of y'all have turned into toxic Sigma males, pum pum pum. Like y'all have taken the thing and made it fucking weird. But like there's a culture of, that's one thing that I think like the older generation, they had it to a detrimental degree, but there is truth and you have to kind of grind this shit out. And that theory applies in other aspects of your life. And like now there's all this like softness and you need to relax. And you need, those are things, but those are also, I don't know, that's not the entirety of it. Like it's just an intense lack of balance. Like my favorite little word, I'm a slave to this balance concept. So everything is sold as like, everything in the world is like hard as shit, which it is. And like everything is sold as like, you're going through a hardship and you need to like just relax and chill. And relax and chill is just sounds like the opposite of like work. And so motherfuckers just, I don't think pay attention to the fact that after you relax to recharge, but then you kind of got to go back out here and hit it. Like the others, like, our grandparents and them just like you hit it until your fucking brain explodes and you standing outside, your front yard, snotty nose, screaming at Denzel about how y'all done let your life pass for 20 years. You don't have to do that. But you also can't be just sitting up here the way y'all be. Like, it's too many videos of y'all, setting up the camera, crying, or setting up the camera to put your hoodie on and then do some deadlifts and then lay in the ground when it's raining. You could have gone to see the lady or the man or the they, whoever the fuck, and kind of, you could have sorted some of that shit the fuck on out, my boy.
You could have sat with yourself.
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate for sitting with yourself. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to find every single answer. The real recipe for all of this shit is all the things we name. It's not an or, it's an and. You need to do an aspect of all of these little things in doses collaboratively.
Spend some time alone.
Just a little bit. And not
get
soaking.
Get your head about your ass and figure it out.
I'll yes, and I'll say a little bit of no. Because some of that you do need to sit there and soak, right? I'm not a big fan of just sitting there and dwelling on it.
Stop making it a personality trait, though.
Yeah, that's just like, it's okay to feel emotion. It's okay to express it. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be in your feelings for a little bit of time. This kind of goes back to the, even though they ain't cool no more, but like Maul and Joe. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm giving you 48 hours to kind of like sit within your feelings a little bit. But then you also have to start the next step of the process after that. So if your 48 hours of sitting in your feelings has been 5 years, like when are you going to start the other process of, yes, I've been sitting with me, but I've been sitting with me in a negative space, self-loathing, letting my inner critic go nuts, or just projecting my frustrations on the other people, or scapegoating other people, or whatever the case. At some point, I have to sit with me with real intent.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like having the real intent of like doing some of the work. Like that's, like that'd be some of the shit online. You see motherfuckers, it's like some of y'all have depression. Some of y'all are just depressed. And those are two different things. Like just using that as an example. And like sitting with yourself can kind of adjust some of those things. My black ass has been depressed. It has been a thing. Having depression is not something that I have gone through, and it is sometimes like you muddy the waters and you kind of maybe like, maybe cut somebody who's really going through that out of their shit. And that's with anything. I'm just using this as like the example. Mm-hmm. If I'm taking into account through some little self-reflection, talk to somebody, maybe get some shit up off your chest, you go, oh, I was going through this happened, that happened. If I move some of this shit around, I'm feeling pretty fucking good about myself. I was depressed, but I don't have like depression as a fucking thing that I need to consistently have like, that's different. Like those are just different things. And I feel like a lot of people live in spaces where it's like, it's a bit trendy. Like it's good because it has become known. We talk about it, but now it also has given people kind of a modicum to be like, oh, this must be what I'm going through. Kind of. Like,
I mean, that's kind of like what I shared earlier about people feeling the need to be in labels. I don't know if I said that off air or on air.
it might have been off air.
I think it was
I remember
off
that though.
But like I try to explain that to clients sometimes. Like I don't want to tell you who to be and how to feel, but there's a difference between having some anxiousness and discomfort and having anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And people are quick to just say, well, I have anxiety, well, I have depression, it's like, you may have some depressive symptoms, you may have some depressive behaviors, or you might be in a depressive space right now, or you may have a really, really, really mild form of depression. But I don't want you to claim that as your definite thing that you lock onto, because how you talk to yourself is major.
And
So
that's not magic foo-foo talk. Like,
it's
again,
not.
That's
Like,
that synapse shit.
if you keep saying that I'm depressed, I have anxiety, you're going to exacerbate your system. I want you to learn how to address it, be honest about it, but also not claim it. Like, yes, I say if you have anxiety, or we establish you have anxiety, or you're just anxious or whatever, say that you are in the process of getting over whatever it is. I'm in the process of working through my depression, as opposed to saying I am depressed. It's like, okay, we can acknowledge it, but don't stay here. We already know that it's not in your best interest to stay here. So how can we start to encourage yourself to get away from here? And people, like you said, it's popular for people to latch on to just being here because it's going to get me a certain response. And for some people, it's like, I latch on to this label because it gets me a response that I've never had because I've gone through emotional neglect for most of my life.
And knock this shit off. Oh, we got questions. I did press y'all for questions, and some of y'all asked, and
thank y'all for participating.
pretty much. And y'all was asking some heavy shit, man. I gotta kind of gotta find some. I gotta at least.
You
I gotta
ask for it.
I did. I just got to start. I want to start.
Light.
Yeah, let's get into.
Ain't no light. We talking about mental health.
It really is not light. This is I can't really speak to this. I guess it could be one of the other differences education wise between a PWI and a HBCU.
I mean, you got one side, I got one side.
Yeah, I mean, like I could speak to coming from a PWI type high school, and I would say given my like upbringing, like I like very, very much so love being around my people. So like sometimes going to school in that setting, I was always latching on to any black teacher I could have. So for me, it was really dope to like go into an environment. Everybody looked like you. Obviously, you had some teachers that were like, of different cultures, but in general, the vibe was not only just that everybody is black. There are a number of black people that from interacting with them, they have black experiences. I got nigga thoughts, baby. Like I got nigga goals. And you could see these people like in very like, it's not like seeing like a bunch of rappers, no disrespect or anything. Like these are doctors, these are motherfuckers that were on, hey, the team of people that was responsible for the whatchamacallit and the dingama thingy. Like you were on that team. Like you were on that team because you're now in your fucking 50s and 60s. So you were on that team back when it was some shit. Like you're really a fucking genius. But I can still sit up here and talk to you about, Earth, Wind, and Fire. And then you check me like an auntie or some shit. Like part of the vibe of being here is you get the whole like bigger than me feeling from a lot of people. I'm not saying everybody's like that, but there's enough people around there that are of that ilk, that are in these positions, that are here to be like, I'm here for like the betterment of my people in my community. And I like teaching and all this other shit. I like getting the bag. But I had a couple professors that were like, one in particular that rings out. He was very adamant, like, I'm a real scientist. I do not make my money here. I don't want to say he's passed. Dr. Perry, I believe. Word to y'all. He was very adamant about letting everybody know, like, I am cute. Like,
I earned it, goddamn it.
He was there. But he would do, like, crazy shit. Like, he used to drive to Grambling, like, from Texas, like, every day. He just loved his job. Anyways, his whole thing was like, I'm a real scientist. Like, I'm really down. Like, I work at a place where I got to leave all my stuff at the door. They got to check me, spray me down, and I go down here and create shit, and I high five aliens. But I come back here to make sure you niggas, change the future of some shit. So that's the vibe. And then, you see a lot of people from a lot of environments, and it's cool to have, it lets you kind of see the diaspora, as we say, because everybody ends up looking like you, but you also realize that, like, we are like very, very different and have very, very different backgrounds. So you feel that kind of vibe.
Yeah, I came from the opposite of like predominantly black high school settings. And I wanted to go to a black college, got accepted to a bunch of them, but because of sports,
Money.
ended up going to PWI. So I say that at least on that end, at least what rang out for me for that question, the difference more so maybe culture than actual teaching and education. Because got my master's at a PWI, but I had black instructors that, like, when I graduated, my professor that is a black professor hooded me, which, was a special moment for me because it's like I'm getting hooded by somebody that has reached the pinnacle of where I would like to be, and they help usher me into this space, and that comes from a white college.
That's dope.
So the examples of having black people in education that want to pour back into their students is everywhere. Just like you got black teachers that don't really give a fuck about pouring into their students like they should in both places.
So I know we mentioned this before, where I want to say we had this conversation with Kelvin and Eric was on, but I would make the distinction too, because I talked to my sister about this and I was about to ask, like, I think you might have said it then, but I don't remember, like, if there's a parallel, because I talked to my sister about her experience sometimes, because she got her bachelor's from, I keep fucking these up, from ASU. I always want, because she went to both, but she finished at ASU. And the discussion around, because we are very, very adamant about our blackness, the desire to connect is like almost outrageously stronger than you might feel. Because at HBCU, I felt the desire to connect, but I don't want to say took it for granted, but it's like, I know I'm out here with my nigga like every day.
Yeah, there's black people everywhere. I'll say it is a little bit different in that regard at a PWI, because if you really care about your culture, whatever it may be, you're going to find your people and y'all going to connect more because there ain't a lot of y'all. Mm-hmm. So, like, yeah, a lot of the black students ended up knowing each other and interacting with each other, but we also supported each other's events, whether we really fucked with each other as a whole or not. So even like with Greek-wise, we may not fuck with the Sigmas and the Kappas, but we still gonna do stuff with the Sigmas and the Kappas because it ain't a lot of black people on campus. And who we gonna do stuff with? The white fraternities? Like,
Hey, I want to know.
Go ahead.
I want to know what the fucking Sigmas and Kent State was doing. Because them niggas catch it every time we talk about it. Who was they do? I wouldn't say. Was the video. That was the video that I saw you on. What the fuck am I in this fucked up? It's been a thing. Them niggas was devious. I'm convinced. Them niggas was evil. I don't know what the fuck they was doing out there, but they was some different. That chapter is some different niggas. I'm convinced.
My personal experience with the Sigmas out there wasn't it was mixed. I'll say that, because I had a teammate that became a Sigma, so me and you are cool as far as that regard is, but then you also play a Sigma, so we got some things there. I also had some run-ins with some of the Sigmas that weren't necessarily the greatest. Not on my doing it. It ain't really have nothing to do with no Greek stuff. It just so happened that they are a part of said organization. So I've now that I think about it, I've had quite some interesting interactions with said Sigmas, and I was the one that's cool with them. So I can imagine the shit that people was going through, especially our old heads. Our old heads was not fucking with them at all. We were cooler with the Kappas, but we weren't super, super cool. But we was cool with the Kappas, and I was cool with everybody for the most part, because that's just been my story.
Oh, exactly. Like they was out there like West Side Story with knives and shit. Like, who the fuck is this?
Absolutely. Why you let him in the party? Like, because it's a party for students. What are you talking about?
Y'all niggas finna fight. Holy shit.
It wasn't no finna. They did. He was a grown-ass man coming to campus fighting these students. Boy,
them niggas acting like they was the warriors, like them old school guys.
Our old heads would do too much sometimes for
they call me eyeball. I represent the blades, baby. Like that's how they act. Like
Some of them, that's literally like it was life or death for them. for me, it was like just connecting with black people in general. So I didn't care what org you was a part of. I still wanted to connect with you in some capacity, or at least support you, because it ain't that many of us on campus, and we all happen to kind of know each other. So why not?
That makes sense.
But like you saying, the importance of it became more important because there's not that many of us on that campus. So you got the black students, you got some of the African students that are coming from another country. You had some of the mixed or the Afro-Latino, they had their organizations, but we all still made sure that we banded together for even the smallest of things. Even if it's just a party, but we clicked up to do this party together and put it on for everybody, because we don't have a lot of places to do it. Like the white frats got houses. We don't have no house. We got to rent a house just like regular ass people.
I remember seeing that shit going like tech and shit. I'm like, these motherfuckers got like.
Yeah, no, the white frats
fraternity
have houses that donors and stuff have given them. We just had, all right, I'm graduating, so y'all take over the lease now.
Yep.
But it ain't really our house, and something happens, we're going to have to switch to a different house.
That's fun in that fucking house, man.
Right. So just stuff like that, like we support each other just in those regards, which you going to get that at a black college, but you may definitely take it for granted because everywhere you turn is black faces. It's a lot different when most of the faces you see ain't black, so when you do see black faces, you want to make sure you smiling at it to a degree.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing. Like everywhere was black faces, and I think sometimes people don't pay attention to some of that means that all your negative experience, because you're gonna have those also associated people to look like you, whether you register that or not. Sometimes it's not that big a thing, but I do think that played a little bit of a factor.
Yeah, both sides of the coin. You're gonna get both sides of the coin because the coin is the same coin. Whereas if you got pennies and nickels, them two different coins, so you can see some shit.
All right, let's try it. I got a couple of these little spicy. They're not spicy relationship, but it's like, let's get intro fucking spective. We're gonna get deep. All right. Well, here's one. What part does clarity play in connection? And I'm assuming that's a relationship thing.
Relationship within the regard of connecting to people, period. Not necessarily a romantic relationship, but the amount of clarity that you have. I mean, that's subjective, in my opinion, because somebody can be real clear on some negative shit, but they staunch on it, and that's where they at, and they may never get out of that space. Or somebody can grow and change into a whole new person, but they're still not super clear, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't say that clarity isn't important, but it's like, how are you going to measure clarity? What's the barometer that you're going to say in regards to clarity? Clarity on what, per se? Clarity on my environment and its effects to me, clarity on my traumas, clarity on my behaviors within relationships, clarity on my strengths and struggles, like clarity on what? But yes, the more clarity I have on these things, the more likely I am to have more positive, healthier relationships. Are they going to be perfect? No. It's still going to be some aspects of it that's shit, because life is life, and you need to learn stuff, and you learn through struggle. But at the same time, you can still have that great experience without being super, super clear. There's a lot of people that's on autopilot every single day that have decent lives. They just may not be intentionally in tune with it, or mindfully aware of it, or present within it, but they're living it every single day, but their clarity is not the greatest. So it depends.
I kind of go with, it was something you touched on in there about like I think as far as definitely, I took it as like clarity of oneself. Mm-hmm. Like if I don't have a certain level of clarity within myself, one, and with how I'm interacting with a person or environment or whatever, like it does block my ability to connect. Mm-hmm. Like you said, the autopilot thing, I might be here. I might, I'm a fucking human being. We're pretty, complex beings. You can get the job done or whatever the fuck that may be look like for you. But as far as being truly connected and understanding and invested, and even seeing if you're like enjoying or happy in a thing, you need like a certain level of clarity. And I feel like, you gaining clarity of like, oh, this is how this thing makes me feel. Because you might be doing a good job. Even if I'm using it, say, from a job perspective, I'm clearly not connected and happy in my job, and I realize I'm doing a good job here out of anxiety. Like I'm so anxious about, not having money or whatever. Then you have great reports, man. You've been killing the stats all year. But that's, you might have been running on autopilot, just like, got to do it, got to do it, got to do it. And then you gain some clarity one day and be like, yo, man, I'm my fucking heart. I got fucking heart palpitations now because I've been fucking just out of my motherfucking mind trying to just do the rat race. And then if I'm taking that to a relationship perspective, like, yeah, I think you need a certain level of clarity to be like, that's how you end up in one of those, like, we just been together all year, man. We've been together since like high school. And you don't realize you niggas don't really fuck with each other. Or y'all niggas are not in the space now because clearly you're in this space, they're in this space, or whatever the fuck, that y'all maybe shouldn't be around each other. Or maybe you see that, me and Ashley, we just cool. But if you take a step back, you and Ashley probably more than cool. And you fucking up the connection not being, it could work both ways, I think.
Right.
But like a certain level of clarity of mind, of understanding, like we said earlier, like, you taking that inventory of yourself and being like, oh, this is the space I'm in. Or I'm clearly like, depressed, and that depression is getting in the way of my connection with my fucking family.
Well, this makes me think that like clarity is one part of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
Because say you do have clarity of self, but you don't have intention to change, then that clarity and that understanding that you have don't really mean nothing.
I know the answers. I just don't want to do the work.
Right. And it's another different reasons why people could be like that. But say, for instance, somebody that has a personality disorder or something along those lines. Like, I understand who I am, what I have, and, why I do what I do. But it's hard for me to change those behaviors. Or I'm super impulsive. So changing that behavior, it takes more work than I'm willing to give. And I'd rather just deal with the consequences of doing whatever the fuck comes to mind. I know that. Like, what I'm doing ain't right. Or I know what I'm doing is fucking me over, but I'd rather just not do X, Y, and Z to be intentional about changing it.
That makes sense. Oh, y'all know college terms. The Coolidge effect in humans and how it negatively affects relationships. I mean, that's not necessarily like, I guess that is a question. Like, does like, so if you don't know,
he just wanted us to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, so, if you don't know, the Coolidge effect, just to read it out loud, the Coolidge effect is a biological phenomenon seen in animals whereby males exhibit renewed sexual interest whenever a new female is introduced, even after sex with prior but still available sexual partners. To a lesser extent, the effect is also seen among females with regards to their males. So basically, it's just like, you really, really like a new pussy. And, yeah. Though I think when I think about the Coolidge effect, I think about it obviously as like they said, like a biological thing. And for animals, that makes sense because, I got to spread my motherfucking seed. I want my lineage, not even my lineage. I just want my species to continue. Mm-hmm. So I've pumped and pumped into this one. This one over here, I don't know what she's got, what kind of genetics she got. If I pump in her, that's just the numbers game. I'm gonna keep blowing these motherfuckers up until I produce, greatness. Word to fucking Star-Lord's dad. I'm gonna pump these motherfuckers till I create a new goddamn god. I obviously think the effect like works in like humans to a degree, but also I feel like there are other. Now this is not saying that like you have to do some of that nasty, but there are other things that make the connections as like a, if we're talking like relationship wise, like just purely sexually. I mean, I guess I could look at that as the Coolidge effect, but also her ass is different than her ass. So I guess that's Coolidge. I guess that works. I guess it would negatively affect a relationship if you. But I don't know if that's Coolidge. That's just you not going like, I like new ass, or maybe I'm into poly now, or maybe
I would want to know, and I'm Mr. Gray Area. I would want to know the context behind why they like the new coochie.
Yeah. That makes, yeah.
I would need to know that, because if it seems as if I always like some new coochie, but I'm also not choosing the best partners and I get tired of them after a certain point, or it's not fulfilling for me, so I want something new and different, I wouldn't say that's necessarily the Coolidge effect as far as craving new coochie, so to speak, or a new sexual partner. That's just me not changing some things within myself to choose better partners. So I end up in relationships that are unfulfilling for me. And I think that the next person is going to be the person to feel better, so to speak. And the only way I know how to enter into these relationships is through sexual activity.
Yeah, I think, I kind of rock with that. Like, I'm not saying as a man, like, I'm not saying I don't enjoy, that motherfucker look good. That motherfucker look good.
Absolutely.
But in the effects of like negatively affecting a relationship, yeah, I just feel like there's more complexities to it than simply that.
Right. I mean, that makes me think of, I brought it up on here before, but say histrionic personality disorder. Like they're constantly seeking attention by way of being promiscuous or sexual or whatever. Like I'm using my physical attributes to try to gain more attention, or I'm using something to get that attention brought back to me through being salacious, so to speak. That's a personality disorder, but that ain't necessarily the Coolidge effect. I just like, I'm addicted to attention, and I'm going to be provocative in certain ways to get said attention placed back
Get
on
the
me.
people going.
Right. So it's like I could do that simply because I have a personality disorder that I don't have mindfulness of, or egosyntonic and dystonic. One goes with how I see myself, and one is something that I'm doing that I'm aware of that I'm not necessarily liking. I just can't change it.
So yeah, I guess I would say yeah. I think that the I think that the Coolidge effect can have a part, but I just don't know that it's, because I just, I don't be rocking with niggas be like, I just need some new pussy. Like you were either that dude or you could be in that space or whatever the fuck. So
You craving new for for some people that's insecurity. Like I want new booty all
Yeah.
the time to boost my own. I wanted to say ego, but I have to correct myself and say id, because that's really what it is, not ego.
oh yeah, that's true.
But
I guess know your terms, kids.
right, I've had to read had that in
these
sessions a few times.
Oh, this will be good. All right. I just want to say that all of these
Preface.
are women ladies.
Okay.
So I just want to say no niggas been stepping up. Y'all niggas are scary motherfuckers. But anyways, what makes you worthy of the love you desire? I'm not sure if we answer this like personally or just in like a general sense. I guess you could technically do both.
I mean, which one would you rather go with, the personal or the generalization?
I guess both. Like, because they both, I feel like, are kind of, I said that like they're going to be two completely different answers, but they're really not. Like, I feel like if you can, you might not be able to necessarily, well, I guess you should, I think you should be able to provide the things that you legitimately ask for. Like, let's be crude for a minute. I like my motherfucking dicks. And I don't feel like you should be able to ask for some shit like that if you're not also out here eating pussy like it's your fucking last meal. So I don't necessarily ask of anybody something that I cannot literally provide in that manner.
Right.
And I feel like, even in that specific case, it makes you worthy of those actions for sure. But also the willingness to, because everybody always says this shit, and it's not that this in and of itself is a negative thing, but I do feel like there's a number of people who use it as kind of like a selfish mask or whatever. Like, love somebody in the way that they want to be loved, and I think that is absolutely true. But sometimes I feel like that is also people trying to find ways to get what they want and mask it in very like sexy language. Like, somebody got to love you in the way that you choose to be loved. And the next fucking phrase is, I need to be spoiled. And it's like, whoa, motherfucker, stop that shit. Like you fucking up the space. But yes, you do deserve to be loved in the way that really helps and affects you. And, then you kind of get into the concept of like what love looks like, because it don't always look like this Disney Channel shit. Ain't nobody telling you need to get your motherfucking ass stomped for love. It's not what I'm saying. But like, I just feel like some of the times the way we describe love is not really love all the time. But anyways.
I take a little bit of a different approach when it comes to worthiness from a personal and from a generalized standpoint. You're only going to be as worthy as you believe yourself to be. It ain't got nothing to do with the other person. So if I don't feel like I'm worthy, I'm not going to feel like I deserve or should get certain treatment. And I could speak to that from a personal standpoint and just talking to other people.
Let me tell you.
I've been looked at as a great partner in a lot of different situations, but I still had the imagery of myself not being worthy. So I'm doing these things that are looked at as great to other people because I don't feel worthy within myself, and I feel like I have to prove myself, or I feel like I have to do something in order to be deserving of just simple, basic, healthy love.
Kick your own ass 101.
Right, which I think a lot of men do. A lot of men, And that's the stereotype of what a man is supposed to be to a degree. It's like men are only worthy of X, Y, and Z if they are able to provide X, Y, and Z 10 times over, which is not true. So for a lot of men, especially black men, we are told that we are not worthy until we are capable.
Oh, you finna answer number 2, I think, in a minute.
Oh, well, then
I mean, no, you're right. This all go together.
but that I'll say that's what dictates your worthiness. How worthy do you feel you are? How capable can you be to yourself, not to other people? Not because I have to do this in order to receive this. Like, no, I do this for me. And because I do this for me, I know that I am deserving of this from other people. Not entitled to, not that I am an obligation to them, but because I treat myself in healthy ways, I deserve to attract and be a part of healthy relationships.
That's good.
I'm worthy of love because I provide myself with love.
You know,
I move in love.
I gotta stop myself on that sometimes. I'd be trying to cut us off at the part where I feel like y'all gonna fuck it up at, but that ain't my job, so fuck you. You know, you take the whatever.
Take it how you.
Yeah, if you catch it, cool. If you don't, goddamn it, I hope you do like this, trying to catch that ball and just run straight into the fucking traffic. Anyways, what specifically can black women
Nothing.
do to
Nothing you can do. You're terrible creatures.
Yeah. What specifically can black women do to love black men better?
You or me? I can answer
Go
because
for it.
I have this conversation with the people that I date quite often. Asking, at least in my regard, like asking and being willing to listen and understand helps you learn somebody better. We like to tell ourselves that we are great lovers or capable of being great partners based on what we say that we are willing to do and what we are doing from our perspective. But we don't always ask that other person what they actually need from us. I do this because I feel like you need X, Y, and Z. Well, you didn't ask this person if they needed X, Y, and Z. X, Y, and Z is cool, but X, Y, and Z is also at the end of the alphabet. I needed A, B, and C first, and you keep overlooking A, B, and C to give me X, Y, and Z because you think X, Y, and Z is important. So sometimes the best way that women, black women, whoever can love black men is simply ask them how they need to be loved. And if they don't know, hold space for them until they get to a point where they can answer that question.
I would kind of piggyback off that, because to me all that sounds like is, and what I think is missed out on, and what I always feel like is they all kind of like, all these things kind of go hand in hand. Like how you said earlier, black men are looked at as like, you know, tools, and it's always expressed of what we can do, what we're supposed to do, and all of these things in ways they that a lot of this shit is expressed online. And just in general conversation, it speaks of selfishness and impatience. Everything around a relationship, as I'm on a timeline, you got to shit or get off the pot. And all of it is geared around what I can do for somebody else. And there's never, to me, a lot of practices from a selfless space. And it is like, I don't know, man, it treats love like trying to win a prize, which is nice. It sounds cool on paper. But, yeah, I guess I could always say, like, I say this or speak about this in the framework of being a dude, and you just got to be prepared to like take a loss. And that's like from a selfless space. There is no parameters on this love shit. And I know that there's mad niggas who have like run the gamut and said that shit as if like, you know, they running game or some shit. But trying to you know, talk or engage with a nigga off of your perceptions of what shit's supposed to look like does not seem like, you're not trying to, you know, you're not trying to love me. You're trying to be in love. You know, you're not trying to marry me. You're trying to be a wife. And all those are very, sounds cool, and we can put the fluffy words, but those are all very selfish endeavors. And if I'm doing this shit because I don't really feel like a lot of times niggas know how to express that. It's not a fear. It's not a aversion to relationship. It's a fear of, no, nigga, I'm, you know, I'm niggas be prepared to do this shit like the way that niggas, like, you know, die for it, blood of the ancient Spartans. So if you finna do that shit, if you finna, God, it was really a good movie. And every time you saw one of these examples, you sound like one of these douchey alpha male shit. But if you're going to the hot gates, you know, you and your 300 side by side, it would be lovely for the motherfucker next to you is your fucking person. but that person has to be prepared to be like very selfless for you, and those are sometimes traversing that space. It takes patience and selflessness, and that shit just doesn't seem to be in high, in high fucking commodity in the dating space, and specifically if we're talking about like the black woman space, like how and which ways I need selflessness and patience, because patience is not you. I waited for you to get whatever. No, you were waiting for me to hit some type of benchmark for you to feel comfortable, as opposed to just that nigga's been who he's been and you haven't appreciated. Like, you don't know if you really like love him for real anyways, because you're trying to love whatever version of him, and that's just you do yourself and him a disservice. Because dog is dope, right? Or shawty is dope.
That makes me think of plug and shout out to poly and non-monogamy. You can really see if you care about somebody, if you can care about them, even though they are sharing time, space, energy, love, and care with other people. Because we like to tell ourselves that exclusivity is the only way that somebody could really love you, right? Which is more of a possessiveness. That's for me. That's for me to tell my id that I am actually loved and worthy because this person cares nothing else about anything but me. But that's not how human nature is. So if I can truly, really love this person and know that they love me, regardless of how we may share time, space, energy, and attention with other people, that means that I really care about you, and I'm really, I understand your needs. I can be the dirtiest of dirtbags when it comes to sexual stuff, but there's certain things that I'm not willing to do, and I still love you and hold space for you, even though you have somebody else that's willing to do those things that I'm incapable or unwilling to do. That doesn't change our connection, our relationship, how we love and express for each other. That just means I understand that you have needs that need to get met elsewhere, and I'm okay with that, and I still love you regardless.
Let me get y'all in the back who I know got up when he said the poly shit. I know, so I saw y'all. I saw y'all get up. I saw y'all go to the refreshment table. Sit down.
This.
Yeah, this ain't for me. Sit down. Because, you niggas too, because it's both sides.
Right.
Like, the same way because, in jokes and in all this other shit, there's truth in there. So, the same little jokes about, like, when he go kick it with his boys or when he's playing the game or whatever, like, to truly know this nigga as opposed to complaining about these issues. Because if you talk to sometimes niggas do have, like, not to say every nigga some deep philosopher, but you fuck around and listen to the fact of, like, what this might do for him and how you could maybe engage in these activities also with him, or understand what these individuals, like, do or how they provide that space. And you go, oh, that makes more sense. As opposed to, like in the same way that you're saying, like, going with another partner, you can respect that, like, oh, this person is doing something for them that I can't do or am not willing to do. Well, shit, for y'all, everybody in the regular monogamous space, like, shit, if this motherfucker is going to engage in these other areas, one, if you find yourself going, like, maybe this is not a loving space, and also maybe this is an opportunity for you to maybe, like, learn a thing or two, like, oh, I could probably get with this. Not that I could step in the space of friends or whatever, but I could learn, like, oh, that's where he feels blank. What the fuck am I doing that it doesn't feel like that in here? Mm-hmm. It may not necessarily, like, just shot in the dark. It may not be that he don't fuck. Maybe you have developed and created a space of whatever the fuck. And low key, like, if it, however, we've been fucking around for however many. And it's like, okay, well, if it took that long to create that space, it might take that long to undo it, or you might have shit the bed. I don't fucking know. But patience and selflessness, I feel like, are two good starting points. And you could fuck around and, change the universe off those.
Empathy and understanding, intentional understanding, not just understanding you stumble upon.
All right, between the two of these hot ones, then I'm gonna let you guys have it, because I feel like we're doing pretty good, and we got, like, actually a few more, but I'm gonna give y'all one more. Which one do you feel like is the most fire one? Because those are motherfucker got heady.
Of course. Looking at who it is.
Dead ass. Yep. Fucking got, get deep in this motherfucker.
Of course, I have to take responsibility for this.
I'm doing next show is all dick jokes. Yeah, we done gave you, everybody got.
We gave you enough maturity.
Yeah,
for the last
everybody
40
got
minutes.
y'all got y'all brains twisted after the day. These niggas be doing the espionage every fucking episode.
You know what? I don't feel like these are too different, to be honest with you.
That's valid.
One question: what are some examples of how we can use our imagination to envision a Black utopia?
Green Lantern rings.
Literally.
Green Lantern
And
rings.
the other question is, what does life, community, and or individuality look like beyond trauma? Well, I mean, in order to have a Black utopia, in my perspective, which is going to be a little bit biased because of the field that I'm in, but why do both sides got like multiple kids that's killing people at like 11 years old? It's traumatized. Speaking of trauma,
This whole show is
it's
just,
one big trauma.
Yeah.
But in order to have a Black utopia, I feel like you have to have healing from your traumas. One of the healings from our traumas, you know, we talk about systemic racism and all these other institutions and how slavery still affects us still to this day and has created our communities and our subculture and our identity and all that other stuff. Like, healing from that gives us a utopia, but we got to address it. We got to pay attention to it. We got to be intentional about correcting it. And we have to allow ourselves to, sticking with the imagination piece, envision and imagine what that looks like for us, and then move towards some sort of purpose in our personal lives that are going to help contribute to that being on a larger scale. So just being able to start within self, imagine what my utopia looks like, how I would like it to be from a selfless standpoint, and then what I need to heal within me to work towards being that person and creating that environment, and then being able to foster that same thing in other people is, you know, how we can close the gap on both. But you got to heal. Whatever your healing journey looks like, because it's going to be different for everybody. I know everybody wants to, especially when you're talking about Black men, y'all need that go heal. There's so many different ways that healing looks like. But even something as simple as, I recognize that you act this way because you have some healing that you need to go through, and I support you in getting through that healing. As opposed to be demonizing your behavior, I understand what you've been through. I ain't got to stay here and deal with it.
Y'all need
but
to
I
heal.
understand.
Okay, team. High five.
Right.
Tag you in as well, man.
Well, I mean, that's the other part of it, because you may say that I need to heal from your perspective, but you're here with me, which means there's something that we are in alignment with. So that means
Down here in hell with you, it will always fucking resonate.
Absolutely.
And I don't want no fucking part of it.
But say, even though we're referring to a song, there's a lot of shit within our culture where we think that shit is cute and sexy, but we don't realize, no, you are in the environment with that individual, which means you need to heal just like them. So how do we have this Black utopian universe? How do we create Wakanda if everybody doesn't want to be accountable to their own healing journey?
You gotta take them white folks move out the way.
I mean, Thanos was right. God damn it, that snap could get 50%.
Get them motherfuckers about the way.
But I mean, this. I know I've said it before, but how many? I know y'all gonna catch some strays, but how many hairdressers and makeup artists and this seller and that seller do we have because people didn't address their purpose and their traumas? They just chased money or stability or whatever the case is.
Niggas beat the shit out of Chris Rock for that goddamn show.
I mean, they wanted to say it was a lie at first, and then you want to jump on buying Black-owned hair care products. You know,
well,
but I think a lot of people, we could have a utopia. There's somebody out there right now that's trying to find a way to hustle up on the latest trend, whatever that is, whether you did drop shipping or you jumped into real estate or you selling bundles or you traded crypto or whatever, but it's all a money grab for you. You're trying to figure out how to get more income, but you're not following your true talent and purpose because you just refuse to heal.
So, okay. So like,
you miss out on a talent or a gift or a skill or a resource in this world because you haven't stepped into alignment with your purpose. So we can't have that utopia because we're missing something that you provide to this utopian world. And we're not getting it because you haven't stepped into your own personal journey of healing.
So, yeah, like you said before, both of these connect to each other because the Black utopia thing it comes off the backs of, I guess, beyond the trauma. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, life, community, and individuality look like beyond trauma. It would look like said utopia because I feel like it's kind of about to be a version of the same thing because the ideals and all these things that I feel like we can do as a community would be jet setted and just like taken to the, because it's trauma that holds niggas back. Niggas have, grandiose ideas and ways to change this, but it is trauma that holds niggas back. It is trauma that makes niggas go, why did you do that same thing? Nigga, I ain't never gonna let no nigga do blah, 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 blah. That's completely trauma. Like, that's all a trauma-based response because you've been sitting here in America all this time and you didn't see niggas. Niggas got lynched even if you didn't like literally watch it. You've seen the police kill niggas like in your lifetime. You've seen marches. You lived through the effects of, we are all barely scraping out. We are, whether you are a nigga who slang rocks or you a nigga up here collecting degrees, we are all still in the same generalized traumatic experience just in general, let alone your own personal experiences and then spirals. So until you kind of do a collective type of work, individual and then collective work to get rid of those, it kind of halts you from getting to the Black Utopia. Because, you got a bunch of ideas. You got motherfuckers like, hairline aside, you got Akon telling everybody to come back to Africa and like figure it out. But trauma hurts and doesn't allow you as somebody who might just be so stuck in a sense of lack and distrust that you cannot trust literally your friend group. If you're just in a quote unquote decent friend group, or if you're in one of these, like, one of our regular communities, pick a city, any city, you got issues with the nigga the next block over where y'all could probably pool some of that, extracurricular money and really make some shit. You could knock this shit out if niggas sat for 6 months and just skip the studio. One of y'all go to the studio. The rest of you niggas do some real utopian shit. But trauma says, man, ain't nobody doing that shit. That don't even make no fucking sense to me. You saying some shit that I don't even understand. It's dumb. It's ridiculous. I'm not gonna do it. I can't connect with her because I can't even bring this idea up to her because if I'm not looking a certain way, if I'm not at a certain level, she's not gonna fucking give me the time of day. She's not gonna try no cool shit because the person we see every day are really sexy idiots who be living on air mattresses, but they own, some of the reality networks. And we never really see, unless you like are really, really adamant, that there are people out here, I don't know, man, that are fucking like doctors and fuck all them jobs. Like there's program managers and there's software engineers that look just like you that, but they here in fucking like, protective styles and go get it done. So like ways to erase this trauma have to happen because life looks like beyond the trauma, it looks like a Black utopia.
Yeah.
With the traumas out the way, imagination is not blocked by niggas. Shut the fuck up. Like, you like niggas like Colin Up Productions is not unique because everybody thinking that shit. So, yeah. I feel like that's I feel like niggas have really cooked today. Just the best fucking meal. I hope that everybody, feels good. Tell your mom and them. Gonna give you guys some more just happy-go-lucky shit. St. Lucia, Golden Age, specifically Bay Ledges remix. That's what it says on my phone. Sounds like some happy shit. Use your imagination, as she talked about. You know what I'm saying? This is the end of the movie. You know what I'm saying? We've gone through some trials and tribulations. Shit's gotten kind of weird, but we've won this particular battle. You know what I'm saying? We've set the thing up for a sequel. We don't know. We got to see how it does at the box office. But we gave you guys a cool look now. We're walking off into the sunrise, because we were fighting all night, but we made it out. Sun's rising now. Credits are rolling. Thanks for coming. And that's it, man. Love you and shit. Okay, bye.